Good evening, everybody. It's Sandy Schoelles and Jennifer Hynes. How are y'all? And welcome to Saturday Night Live because we've had a little Friday snafus, but it's all cool. And welcome to everybody that's here. Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How
How's
are
your
you
week?
doing, Sandy?
Oh well, it's been snowing for quite a while. I like it. I like it because it
It's been
feels
snowing a lot here too. It's
normal
been
though.
so cold, and we've had two major snowstorms, and it
Oh,
got down to like -4 the other day here
oh,
in Colorado and
that's a little.
near Denver in Boulder.
Er,
I mean, it was really cold, and we had two major snowstorms back to back. It's kind of fun, actually. I love it.
a little chilly. A little chilly. Well,
hmm
everything seems to be working pretty good. I see this time everybody's here. I have oh, Karen's here from YouTube. Happy birthday, Karen. And
Hi, Karen.
it's working. Yeah, this is great. This is great. CB, Kim, everybody's here. We've got and oh, the Green Report's here. This is Whitney. She's the new girl on the block, and I'm so thrilled. Everybody, check out Whitney's channel, The Green Report. She's a newbie, and it's great to have a fresh young perspective on she's weather reporting and other things. So Jennifer, you got to check her out too. She's cool. So everything's
Oh, I
looking,
absolutely
yeah,
will.
it's looking good to go. And Phil Stone's here, Philip, our boat friend. So we're good tonight. This is like all right. We have a lot of serious things going on, and we
We
have
do.
we have an array of stuff, and I'm gonna play a little bit with things and screen share, and hopefully it all works and looks great for you guys because it's
Yeah.
Saturday night.
It's Saturday
It's
Night
Saturday
Live.
night. Yeah, here we are,
Welcome to the
Saturday night live.
apocalypse.
Right? Yeah, welcome to the apocalypse. Welcome to the nightmare. Yeah, but I particularly like that band and the picture that I got in the beginning of the graphic Methane. That's cool. It's actually I think a Finnish band. Finland. Hopefully I can get the stuff. So who wants to start, Chris? I mean Chris. Oh God. Jennifer, I just saw somebody write, "Hi Chris," and I said, "Who wants to start, Chris?" Oh God. Hi Chris, are
Oh,
you
it's
here?
fine.
I'm just seeing who, oh, Natural Progressives here. Okay, the crowd's all here. So we have the articles that we have an order to start this night with. And Jennifer, I'm going to let you start with the one you wanted to, and we can talk about our most favorite topics, which are Arctic ice, permafrost, and the futility and sadness of it all.
Everything is melting. Everything is melting.
Yeah, it's
But
melting.
we're going to watch it melt.
We're watching
Who
it melt.
says watch pot never boil?
Shit,
We're watching it melt.
we are so strapped in, right? We are completely strapped in. Yeah, here we are. So I got the article up. I'm going to try something and see it so everybody can see it. Um I'm going to share the screen. Let's tell me if this works, guys, and can you see both Jennifer and I think you can up in the corner. And Jen, why don't you
hmm
give us a start? All
All
right.
right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to
Yeah,
talk first
it
about
looks
the
good.
permafrost. This is an article that just came out in Wired magazine, and it came out on the 3rd of February, so it's brand new. And it says, and I actually posted this on my page earlier this week, and it got like a lot of likes and views, so I was
Hmm.
glad about that. Permafrost is thawing so fast it's gouging holes in the Arctic. So what they say is normally these terrains of frozen soil thaw gradually, but in some places it's thawing so abruptly that landscapes are collapsing in on themselves. And if Sandy is showing, oh yeah, she is showing. So you guys can see like there are huge, big black holes in the middle of this forest. And if you look at the pictures carefully, the trees are absolutely huge. And the black holes that are getting gouged out are even bigger. So it's like so scary. We're going to be talking a lot about climate feedback loops tonight.
Yes, it's feedback night, feedback
So
loop night.
yeah, it's feedback night because everything, as we all know, works all together. So the deal with this, the permafrost is probably the scariest feedback that we've got going on because there is just so much of it. And as the permafrost warms, landscapes of frozen soil and rock begin to thaw. And when it does, microbes consume organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, leading to more warming, more thawing, and even more carbon emissions. So it's a vicious feedback loop, and it is probably the scariest one. And so
Wow.
when these big chunks of, it's so scary, when these big chunks of permafrost thaw, there are areas that become thermokarst lakes. And this is basically land that gets absolutely ravaged whenever permafrost thaws rapidly. And so the ice that holds the soil together disappears, hillsides collapse, and massive sinkholes open up. Climate scientists have been working on gradual permafrost thaw into their models, but this abrupt permafrost thaw that they're seeing right now happens on the scale of meters over months and years. That shocks surrounding landscape into releasing potentially even more carbon than it would have if it thawed at a more leisurely pace. So I guess what they're saying here is if the permafrost thaws very, very quickly, it creates a lot more greenhouse gases and it causes a lot more destruction. And of course, anybody who's living around there who might have a house, any pipelines, those all get broken. Yeah, it's pretty darn scary. The reason that it all sinks, I don't know if you guys saw the pictures that Sandy put up, but the reason that it sinks and it becomes these slumps is because water takes up a lot more, frozen water takes up a lot more space than liquid water. So when permafrost thaws, it loses a good amount of its volume. So it just becomes this slick, this slump, and it just kind of caves in on itself. So they say, think of thawing like ice cubes made of water and muck. If you defrost the tray, the greenery will sink to the bottom and settle. That's exactly what happens in these ecosystems when the permafrost has lost a lot of ice in it and it thaws. So they're going from terra firma into terra soupy.
Yeah, soupy slushy.
I call it, yeah, I call it perma mush.
Yeah, that's what you have been.
That's pretty
Perma
much what
mush.
happens.
You're the perma mush
I've been calling it
expert.
perma mush. I don't know about the expert part, but I have been calling it permamush for a while. And the landscapes that it produces are pretty startling. They're just like moonscapes in the middle of this arboreal forest. And of course, the trees just fall into it. And in the beginning, they become what's known as drunken forests or drunken trees. And they kind of are twisting every which way because their root system can't hold them upright anymore because they grew in permafrost. And now they just kind of, in the intermediary stage, they get all kind of jumbled and crazy looking. And then they just basically fall apart altogether.
Wow.
So
Astounding.
I know that's like so scary.
It's
So there are a
astounding.
couple of It is astounding. And there's another permafrost article that isn't, oh, that actually is also new. It's also, this one came out in
I got this
PBS
one too.
NewsHour, and it came out January 28th. So it's actually brand new. So there are a lot of articles um, about permafrost lately, and this one actually is associated with Yale Environment 360.
Mm-hmm.
And
Our favorite friends on
pretty,
permafrost, on methane. Yeah.
we love them. We love them.
Yeah.
Even if they don't love us, we still love them.
Yeah, we do. Because they,
Yeah.
Jennifer, before you start this, there was one thing
Yeah, yeah.
I did want to talk about a real quick little thing about resources that we use. And a lot of people they say, oh, Washington Post or the New York Times, or some of them it's establishment newspapers. But you know what? These papers can hire the best and the brightest because they have the money. And the New York Times has their climate desk, and we use these as resources because they've got they've got some of the best and the brightest reporters. So, just in case anybody was thinking, you can't go wrong with some of the science pages of these papers. We use Wired. I mean, we use a lot of different resources, but I just had wanted to say that because it was on my mind. So there we go.
Absolutely.
Now, do you want me to do this one or do you
Absolutely.
want to do this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that
All
sounds
right,
great.
let
Go
me
ahead.
switch and get okay, because all right, so this how the thawing permafrost is transforming the Arctic. And there's another one of those. Um, Canadian scientist Philip Marsh and I were flying along the coast of the Beaufort Sea, where the frozen tundra had recently opened up in a crater size of a football stadium. Located along the shoreline of an unnamed lake, the so called thaw slump was gray, muddy, barren, in sharp contrast to the brilliant russet and gold of the surrounding autumn tundra. These retrogressive thaw slumps or landslides formed as warming temperatures rapidly thaw permafrost are increasing across the Arctic, including the kilometer long, 100 meter deep Batagika crater in the Yana River basin of Siberia. Thought I had it. The tundra of the Western Canadian Arctic has long been carpeted in. Now, this one got me. The cranberries, blueberries, cloudberries, shrubs, sedges, lichen, and that's provided abundant food for grizzly bears, caribou, and other animals. Now, however, as the permafrost thaws and slumping expands, parts of that landscape are being transformed into nothing but mud, silt, and peat. And that's blowing off massive amounts of climate warming carbon that have been stored in the permafrost for millennia. If this had happened in an urban area, it would have resulted in dozens of buildings being swallowed up. If it had happened along a pipeline right away, it might have resulted in an environmental disaster. So as the Arctic
Oh, well, we
warms,
don't have any
yeah.
pipelines going across the
Oh
permafrost. Do you know
no,
of
of
any
course
pipelines
not.
going across the permafrost?
Okay, are we going to go
Just
there?
like most of them,
Yeah, that's a
those guys are
whole
going to
other.
break.
Yeah, that's a whole other
Yeah.
show.
What if one of
Okay.
those thermokarst lakes develops under one of those pipelines? It could happen.
Well,
Probably
that's a
will
thought.
happen.
When I was reading about that, it was really interesting learning about the thermokarst. I'm going to. It was something I really wasn't, all that educated in. So it was interesting. So as the Arctic warms faster than any region on Earth, public attention has largely been focused on the rapid disappearance of the Arctic sea ice. But major changes are also taking place on land. And one of the most striking is the thawing of vast swaths of permafrost that have underlain these polar regions for millennia. And that thaw is taking a toll in complex ways that are not clearly understood. And scientists such as Marsh are now intensifying their efforts to grasp how these changes will play out. What we do know is that if the Arctic continues to warm as quickly as these climatologists are predicting, an estimated 2.5 million square miles of permafrost. That's 40% of the world's total could disappear by the end of the century. Now I always that end of the century,
That
they've always
kills
got
me,
it. Yep, all
right?
the time.
It's always at the end of the century. It's just far enough away that probably none of us would naturally be alive at
No, but
that time,
any
so we don't
kids,
have to get quite as panicked about it.
yeah, well,
You
panic for
know,
the kids because people aren't stopping having them. But they're saying that. And then
that's
with the big consequences of this, which is it's expected to release huge stores of greenhouse gases, including methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide that have remained locked in the permafrost for ages. And pathogens will also be released. And as a matter of fact, I was reading about, and I don't remember his name, who is studying the pathogens. It was, or was I reading or watching a video? Pathogens up in the permafrost, and he was showing how each um, vial that he uses, it's like $15, piece of equipment, but they have to use many, many, many to test, and it was very interesting. And they're up there. These scientists are up there, and
oh
I
yeah.
I just hope that the geologists that are up there are not up there. Well, they're up there for the oil and gas industry. I mean, we can't. That's not going to be avoided. It's not going to be avoided.
Hmm.
All right. So I was less well appreciated are the sweeping landscape changes that will alter tundra ecosystems, making it increasingly difficult for subsistence indigenous people such as the Inuit and Arctic animals to find food. And that's the thing that really hurt when I was reading this one, was about that, where all the berries and all that is turning into what you say, permamush, and there's no food for
Oh,
these
it's
animals,
awful.
and they're just going to go extinct, you know? So we're seeing that it's happening. The lakes suddenly draining, seashores collapsing, and water chemistry being altered in ways that could be deleterious to both humans and wildlife. We're seeing slumping along shorelines that can drain most of the water in a lake in just days and even hours, says Marsh, a former Canadian government scientist who is now professor of hydrology at Wilfrid Laurier University in Ontario. It's not surprising when you consider that as much as 80% of the ground here consists of frozen water. When ice melts, the frozen ground literally falls apart. And as a result, he says, indigenous communities, the resource industry, and the government need to better understand how a warming climate is impacting water resources and permafrost ecosystems. And another thing, Jen, about that is
Hmm.
the indigenous, the Inuits are saying, well, if all of these oil and gas explorers are going to come up here, we deserve a piece of the pie, essentially. They have they
Yeah.
were, in Canada, they were relegated to this little part of the permafrost where they live, and now it's being exploited and researched and all by the fossil fuel interests. And of course they see, that, gee, we need better schools, we need help, and they're not seeing the whole story. So, anyway.
Absolutely. There's one article, I mean, one paragraph that's really kind of stunning in this article. Sandy can read it. So it basically shows what happens when
Mhm.
this permafrost melts so suddenly, so abruptly. Excuse me, guys. I still have a remnant of my cold.
Aw.
Slumping can occur with sudden catastrophic force. In one notable case that was captured on time-lapse photography in 2015 by Steve Kokelsh, a permafrost expert in the Northwest Territory Geological Survey, a rapidly thawing cliff bordering the shores of a tundra lake collapsed into the Peel River watershed in the Northwest Territories in Canada. The waterfall that was creating approximately 800,000 gallons of water from that upland
Jen, you're
really heavy
okay.
metals. Yeah.
Audio.
What did you say?
You have an
My
audio.
audio's not good. Can you hear me?
Now I can. Okay. Carry on.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I hope you guys can hear me. Heavy metals in the permafrost, such as mercury, were flushed downstream with silt and peat, tainting the river system for miles downstream. So they also have heavy metals in the permafrost. So it's a lot of destruction happening very, very quickly.
Yeah, it is. It's that's all you read about now. I mean, there used to be a dearth of information and it came out of universities and it was, journal Nature and now again, it's these mainstream media outlets who have the money to send their reporters to, see these people and it's good. It's scary,
Right.
It's scary.
Right.
And when did it really start? When did it take off? When David Wallace Wells did his
I think so. I think
it really
it became
started.
kind of trendy and popular. There were so many things happening. David Wallace Wells wrote The Uninhabitable Earth. Hothouse Earth was released. Also, Life on a Shrinking Planet by Bill McKibben. All these just tremendous articles were released. Let's not forget Greta. Greta did a tremendous amount to draw and continues to do attention to the climate catastrophe currently ensuing on planet Earth.
God.
One more paragraph I want to read because we can't stress enough how disastrous permafrost
I'm trying to find where we are.
Yeah, the rapid thawing of permafrost has enormous implications for climate change. There are an estimated 1,400 gigatons of carbon frozen in permafrost. Think of that, making the Arctic one of the largest carbon sinks in the world. That's about 4 times more than humans have emitted since the Industrial Revolution. I mean, think about this. 4 times than we've already emitted.
Wow.
And nearly twice as much as is currently contained in the atmosphere. This is like incredible.
Yeah.
According to a recent report, a 3.6 degree Fahrenheit, and that's 2 degrees Celsius, increase in temperature is expected by the end of the century. Of course, it's the end of the century, not going to affect us. Will result in the loss of about 40% of the world's permafrost by 2100.
2100.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, the favorite number of all. Yeah, it's crazy. But Jen, I would really, if I was, didn't have this messed up back and I would love to go with you and go to Greenland and see for ourselves. And maybe it's a possibility we could. You just have to carry my shit.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. I'll be your pack mule.
I can carry a backpack.
You got a lot of experience being a pack mule.
Right?
You're pretty strong.
I mean, it's my bucket list but we'd have to fly, but still, it's my bucket list and all of the work that we do together, all this talking about what we talk about, we're such nerds. It's just so fascinating though, It is. And
it's really fun.
And yes. So we have a lot of people with us. This is really great. So what are we going to move on to
about
next?
69 people online right now.
Oh, looks great. I'm so happy you're all with us. So do we want to move on to the CNN one next?
We do, but let me just read one more paragraph about
Wait, something just happened. Let me shut that off. Uh-oh.
Scientists suspect that some of the slumping may be giving life to the pathogens capable of killing musk oxen, caribou, and nesting birds
Sorry.
as warmer temperatures nudge the pathogens out of their dormant state. Pathogens are diseases, they're bacterias, they're viruses, they're all sorts of things. Massive die-offs of musk oxen on the Banks and Victoria Islands in Canada, as well as the reindeer in Siberia, appear to be related to once dormant pathogens that are coming back to life. This is like
Yeah.
zombie permafrost.
And it's funny, I was just showing that by accident on the CNN. You know, there's so much garbage on their website, and it was a zombie. Jeez.
It was
Oh
a
my
freaking
God.
zombie.
It
It's a
was a
zombie
zombie.
permafrost disaster.
It is. I'm trying to say
This is
hi
a
on the live
zombie
chat at the same
apocalypse
time.
has to do with pathogens and the
It is.
permafrost.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah,
know, they're sold out of masks, so if we're gonna those kind of masks we need with the
true.
inhalers.
Masks are hard to come by these days. They're pretty much sold out of those disposable pathogen masks, medical masks across
Well,
the United
yes.
States.
Yep.
Most of those are made in China. China's not exporting them anymore.
No,
So
because they need
they
them.
have like over 723 people that have died from coronavirus in China now. Can you
Yeah,
believe that? 723. And the first U.S. Foreign national has died in China
today,
as
right?
well. So,
But it's not
coronaviruses,
723,000.
viruses and pathogens are very, oh my God,
Yeah, they're scary
scary.
because the World Health
Mm.
Organization and every country's chief medical organizations, they can't keep up with it fast enough. But then again, we've had these before. We've had SARS. I just don't remember, did we have a cruise ship? What's going on with that Japanese cruise ship? Hmm.
Yeah, there's a cruise ship.
Are they still
I think
quarantined?
two
Yeah.
cruise ships that are stuck, and
Wow. Wow. Uh-oh.
you've kind of
Jennifer.
frozen for me.
What? Are you
I
frozen?
can't see you.
Oh, you can't see
I
me.
can't hear what you're saying. Mm,
Perfect night, and now this happens.
yeah.
Wow. I wonder what happened. I can see you.
Okay.
You can't hear me?
Okay. I can hear you now.
Okay.
It's come back.
It was
I
a
can hear you
psychic
again.
glitch because we both have shitty weather.
I know.
That's all I could say. So wait, Torstein said now we have 5 cruise ships with cases. Boy, it's updating pretty
Is it?
quick. Though that's what he said.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh wait, I
Well,
know
they're
it's
not
no
letting the
Hooples,
people
Hooples.
off. So can you imagine? Oh, holy crap.
Hooples.
What if I
I
would
know.
never take a cruise ship, first of all, forget it. But if I did take a cruise ship and all of a sudden coronavirus was discovered on it and they won't let you dock and you're
Right.
just basically stuck on this cruise ship waiting to get coronavirus. That's like horrendous, right?
Kent says we will get some good numbers from those cruise ships. Oh, jeez. You can take that. Oh, wait. Okay. Proud Hun, or 3 cruise ships, 2 in West Pacific, 1 docked in New Jersey with cases, but let everybody else go. All right. Thank
Oh,
you
they
for
let
that.
them
And
okay.
Jean's
Well,
here
that's
and
good.
Basil's here. Wow, this is like great. I'm really happy. Jean is from Costa Rica. Jean says more people are dying from eating junk food. Of course, Jean. I mean,
She's
that's
probably right.
yeah, she's beautiful. You love her. Jennifer, Jean, Jennifer. Oh, okay. So, at the risk of screwing up with this article, if I try to get it on the screen, uh, and not play the zombie video, would which one of us is it? A coin toss? You
Oh,
want to
either way, you
go
want to
ahead?
do the scientists find another threat to Greenland's glaciers lurking beneath the ice? Is that where we're
Yes.
going now?
Yep, that's our third one.
You
Yep.
want me to do the first part and then I
Sure.
hand it
Yep.
over to you? Okay.
And I got
So
it up
again,
there.
Greenland is top of the news. We have a very good friend in Greenland, Torsten Vidal. We love
Yes.
Torsten.
Going south is here.
Absolutely love Torsten. So Greenland, of course, is melting a lot. We talked about Greenland last week too.
Yep.
Scientists have long known that higher air temperatures are contributing to the surface melting on Greenland's ice sheet. That's like, yeah, old news. We know that. But a new study has found that another threat has begun attacking the ice from below. Warm ocean water moving underneath the vast glaciers is causing them to melt even more quickly. The findings were published Monday in the Journal of Nature Geoscience by researchers who studied one of the many ice tongues. Oh, holy cow, I would need to like 8 syllables and and fjords and then glacier with 8 syllables. Can you say that word, by the way? Do you feel confident to say that word? I don't.
I'm looking for it because I was just like paying attention. Is it before? Is it up here? Where are we?
It's in the third paragraph.
Oh,
and it's
the NIO?
Neo.
NIO? Okay.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That one.
But of course, if
No way I could say that word.
Nogafurjaforden. And
no idea.
Torstein, you can completely scream at me and make fun of me. Okay,
You
no,
don't
I
know how to
can't.
speak Danish, Greenlandic,
It's
anything.
beautiful though. It's probably very easy. We're just
Norwegian.
making it much more difficult because we're looking at the word and saying there's, it's long and we don't know it. But once you get, as every other language, just like typing, once you get to do it, you know it, right? Except for typing, you're not conjugating verbs. Okay.
So this next paragraph kind of reveals the scariness of this whole underwater Greenland thing that's happening. The survey revealed an underwater current more than a mile wide where warm water from the Atlantic Ocean is able to flow directly towards the glacier, bringing large amounts of heat into contact with the ice and accelerating the glacier's melting. So, Greenland is melting like 8 or 9 times more ice than it used to back in the 90s. 7 times maybe. It depends. Some days it's 7, some days it's 9. It's a lot. Mass loss from Greenland's ice sheet is currently the single driver of sea level rise globally. Wow. And according to a study published in December in the journal Nature, Greenland's ice sheet is currently melting 7 times faster than it was in 1992. So we're just still getting started with the abrupt part of this abrupt climate change. And just since 92, Greenland's ice melts picked up 7 times. I read an article last week with you guys and it was 9 times. So 7 times, 9 times, who cares? It's a lot, right?
Yes.
It's really a lot. And just in case we forget, the ice sheet of Greenland holds enough water to raise global sea levels by more than 24 feet. Think about that.
Yeah, that's, as I was reading that, I was,
do you want to take the next part of it?
Oh, yep. Let me just get it up. Okay. So we are at mass, what warmer oceans mean for the planet. So mass loss, I'm just, you know what? I have to stop being, I'm doing like 3 things at once. Forgive me. Okay. Mass loss from Greenland's ice sheet is currently the single largest driver of sea level rise globally. And according to a study published in December in the journal Nature, Greenland's ice sheet is currently melting 7 times faster than it was in 1992. This ice sheet, did you read this already? I'm terrible.
Yeah, but maybe it's good for people to hear it again.
All right, so much of the Arctic, no, I screwed up. Which one am I at? In July alone?
No, it's fine. You're doing great.
Okay. So much of the Arctic
experience,
the record temperatures last summer, which caused Greenland's ice sheet, and this was scary last summer, remember, to lose 11 billion tons of surface ice to the ocean in just one day, scientists?
One day.
11
billion tons of surface ice got lost into the ocean in one day.
Yep.
That's equivalent of 4.4 million Olympic swimming pools.
Yeah, no kidding. So it was, that was pretty scary. In July alone, Greenland's ice sheet lost 197 billion tons of ice. That's a lot. So water temperatures also broke records in 2019. A study published in the journal Advances in Atmospheric Sciences says the ocean temperature last year was 0.075 degrees Celsius above the 1981 to 2010 average. The study's author said the heat absorbed today by the world's oceans is now equivalent to dropping roughly 5 Hiroshima bombs every second over the past 25 years. I think this was last week's too. That was mentioned in some article. Warmer oceans as a result of the climate crisis also make extreme weather events such as hurricanes capable of producing more rainfall. And ocean heat impacts the stability of sea life, which could lead to declining fish catches in many parts of the world, dependent on the ocean as a primary food source. There's a lot going on in that one. Wow.
There is,
Yeah,
and I guess the net of this is Greenland is melting faster and putting a lot more water into the ocean and driving sea level rise.
sure is.
Lucky us.
Lucky us. Lucky us, but we're here to tell the story. We're here to tell the story, guys. And let's check in. There's a lot of people with us. This is awesome. Ed Garis has joined. Hi, Ed. I'm just trying to, manage the controls here. We have Osama's here, and Hoople's cat, he says, oh, Hooples, I knew it wasn't SARS earlier. That's something from earlier. He says, so much water in the atmosphere is not helping either, even if it comes down in mega floods. Yeah, he's got a channel, Hoople's cat. He's kind of a prepper channel. He's from Canada. He and his wife, Kitty, they're awesome people. Awesome, awesome.
Hmm.
Okay, so what's next on our
You
agenda
want to
of
do the
such cheery stuff?
well, okay, because we've been focusing on the Arctic, we've been focusing on the permafrost in Canada, we've been focusing on Greenland. So that's all the northern hemisphere. But we have to do due diligence in the southern hemisphere and take a look at Antarctica
All right,
and what's happening down there, because
then let me
that
get
is,
this
as we
one up.
know, Antarctica's picking up steam and melting, and that's because it is getting hot
Yeah, it was
in
64 degrees,
Antarctica.
18.3
Yeah,
Celsius, so it's like about 64,
64
65.
degrees Fahrenheit,
Unbelievable.
and that's
A new record.
18.3 Celsius. Now that it was at the Esperanza station in Antarctica, so that's on the very tip of the West Antarctic Peninsula, the part that's like closest to South America.
Mm.
So the people in Argentina are really watching this as they're
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
close there, you know,
That was
down in
one of my bucket
Panama.
list places too. I thought
Oh
maybe go to
yeah. I
Argentina.
I haven't been there either.
Well, Jen,
That would be
I
cool.
want to do something before I drop dead, or as Jonathan O says on the Environmental Coffee House page, he said, "Well, when you croak, who's going to get along best with me to run the page?" Because I've been complaining about everything. Okay, I could start this one. So this is a picture from Antarctica, and it logged its hottest temperature, which I guess a lot of us know because we're all in the know. Uh, the reading taken at Esperanza, like you said, Jennifer, the northern tip of the continent's peninsula, beats the record of 17.5 in March 2015. And I seem to remember that there was
Mhm.
notice in newspapers on that. A tweet
Back
from
in
Argent,
2015.
yeah,
Yeah.
tweet, yeah, because I think it's all when I was waking up. Hey, proud, he says, who moderates the moderators? There's not that many moderators. Um, a tweet from Argentina's meteorological agency on Friday revealed the record. This station's data goes back to 1961. 1961. And the peninsula, the area that points towards South America, is one of the fastest warming places on Earth, heating by almost 3°C over the past 50 years, according to the World Meteorological Organization. Almost all the region's glaciers are melting. Take it away, Jennifer.
The Esperanza reading breaks the record for the Antarctic continent. The record for the Antarctic region, that is everywhere south of 60 degrees latitude, is 19.8 degrees C, taken on Signy Island in January of 1982. Professor James Renwick, a climate scientist at Victoria University of Wellington, was a member of an ad hoc World Meteorological Organization committee that has verified previous records in Antarctica. He told The Guardian Australia that it was likely the committee would be reconvened to check out the new Esperanza record. He said, of course, the record does need to be checked, but pending those checks, it's perfectly valid and that temperature station is well maintained. So, I mean, obviously it's hot, and I guess they're just trying to justify it or something like that. He says, the reading is impressive as it's only 5 years since the previous record was set, and this is almost 1 degree centigrade higher. 1 degree centigrade is huge. It's a sign that the warming has been happening there much faster than the global average. Well, that we know.
Yeah. Wow. You know, we
Yeah,
used to think of Antarctica, you'd never think this. You know, you would never think
I
of
know.
Antarctica being warm and slushy mushy like this. You just wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know, Jen. It's just
The thing
crazy.
is, this all has feedback. So another thing they say is even small increases in warming can lead to large increases in energy you have for melting the ice. The consequences are collapse of sea ice shelves along the peninsula. And as we all know, when those sea ice shelves collapse, they're not going to raise sea level at all because they're already in the ocean,
Right.
right? But what they do is it basically removes the plug from the mouth of the glacier, and it basically allows all the stuff that's on land and usually on a hill or a mountain or something to just come crashing and just really accelerate. It just greases the skids and it accelerates all that glacial melt right into the
Wow.
ocean.
And then we have underneath, you know, and we
Yes,
had that
it's
beautiful
melting from
uh,
underneath.
yeah, we're getting it's getting hammered. Hammered. Hammered.
Hammered. And then,
See,
of course, over on East Antarctica, the Totten Glacier, that thing has, it's kind of on a downslope the way
mhm,
it just sits in its geology. So instead of kind of going up a mountain, when you get the Totten Glacier, it immediately kind of goes down for some reason. And there's like the volume of 30 Amazon rivers flowing from the ocean, hot ocean water, into the bottom of
jeez.
that glacier. And that's going to be greasing the skids in East Antarctica. The Totten Glacier is the biggest glacier, I believe, on the East Antarctic side.
Wow.
It's a monster.
Gosh, Jennifer, you're like a sponge with this stuff. I mean, you really know your stuff. You studied it. I'm
I'm
always
just a
impressed.
sponge. No,
You
I
are.
keep
You're
lots of useless information in my
no,
head,
it's
and I
not
just hope
useless.
that it can all materialize and coalesce and come out when I need it.
It's not useless. It seems to be not useless here. It
Hmm.
does. I don't know. We lost now every time something always happens here, we lost the Facebook comments.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. I there's no you know what, with software and technology, I thought tonight I had it perfect. But I guess not.
You know, it always just leaves little room for improvement the
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
okay.
I think we've gotten a
I
lot
don't think that
better.
any of us care too much. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah, we've
It's
gotten pretty
amazing
good
that
at this actually.
it's amazing we're able to gather here at all, actually.
It is. Because
It's
who
kind
you know
of amazing.
who the yeah. Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree
totally
with you.
amazing.
All right, so what are we segueing to next? Are we finished with this
Clouds.
Guardian one? Oh, we're gonna segue. We're gonna go to clouds, and this is
Clouds.
Yale
Yeah, this
environment
is Yale Environment
360.
360.
All right,
Our good friends at Yale.
I'm gonna split the screen again and show everybody. All right, why clouds are the key to new
Do you want to
troubling
go for this one?
projections on warming. I'll start and then a little bit and then I will segue over to you. Recent climate models project that a doubling of atmospheric CO2 above pre industrial levels could cause temperatures to soar far above previous estimates. A warming Earth, researchers now say, will lead to a loss of clouds, allowing more solar energy to strike the planet. Wow. It is
Hmm.
the most worrying development in the science of climate change for a long time. An apparently settled conclusion about how sensitive the climate is to adding more greenhouse gases has been thrown into doubt by a series of new studies from the world's top modeling groups. Um, the studies have changed how the models treat clouds following new field research. They suggest the ability of clouds to keep us cool could drastically could be drastically reduced as the world warms, pushing global heating into overdrive. Da da da, Jennifer.
Oh yeah. I just think that this thing is so interesting because this cloud thing is all about feedbacks. And
You say?
as we know, for every degree Celsius that the world warms in the general atmosphere on average, there's 7% more humidity. So your logic would say, well, if you have 7% more humidity, then you're going to have more clouds. And the
Yeah.
answer is yes, but no. And the reason it's yes, but no, it's like initially you have more clouds, and then it gets just too darn hot, and the clouds don't form and they don't stick around. And so what ends up happening is more sunshine ends up hitting the land, the ocean, the Arctic, the permafrost, all this stuff. So the clouds don't stick around at higher temperatures. They actually kind of start to dissolve, and there are people who have PhDs in
Mm-hmm.
cloud studies.
Yeah.
And clouds have been like a thing that people have been studying and trying to puzzle out for quite some time. So they say here, clouds have long been the biggest uncertainty in climate calculations. They can both shade the earth and trap heat, which effect depends on how reflective they are, how high they are, and whether it's day or night. Things are made more complicated because cloud dynamics are complex. And that's what people get PhDs in, cloud
Yep.
dynamics.
Yeah.
My
I've
God.
read about it.
Yeah. And happen on small scales that are hard to include in the models used to predict future climates. So they're trying to get like all the cloud behaviors put into the models, and also the feedbacks of the temperature and how it affects the clouds themselves. So it seems increasingly likely that clouds could become thinner or burn off entirely in a warmer world, leaving more clear skies through which the sun may add a degree Celsius or more. See that feedback, and then that
Wow.
thing is going
Another
to fire
feedback.
off other things, right? Because none of these systems exist in isolation. They are all connected and they're all affecting each other. So they say that it may add a degree Celsius or more to global warming.
That's nice.
Ah,
And
yeah.
clouds are so interesting. I do a lot of cloud reading about clouds when I'm reading about solar radiation management, you know, chemtrails, whatever. But the different kinds of clouds, I find them fascinating. I find clouds
Oh,
very
yeah.
fascinating and very relevant. And now we're going to lose clouds. Oh boy, God,
Yeah,
what are we going to
absolutely.
do?
And this article, I think this was brought to my attention by Jan Wiley of he has the database of environmental change at open-intelligence.co.uk. So if you haven't yet checked out the database of environmental change, it's free. It's got over 100,000 of articles cross-categorized. So go check it out. It's very interesting. That's again open-intelligence.co.uk. So there's this one other thing I'd like to read about these clouds.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus was reaffirmed in 2018 when a widely cited review headed by Peter Cox of the University of Exeter found that the chance of climate sensitivity exceeding 4.5 degrees was less than 1%. He was wrong. He was really wrong. But the consensus has now been blown apart. Most leading climate models, including those from the US National Center for Atmospheric Research, NCAR, and Britain's Hadley Center, are now calculating the climate sensitivity to doubling CO2 levels as a degree or more higher, ranging up to 5.6 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So they made a slight error.
Mm-hmm.
To
Wow.
the tune of like 100% off.
100% off.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah. They
crap.
basically they just completely lost the thread, and they made some assumptions that were blown apart when they studied it more deeply and started to understand it. Their findings are almost certain to feature strongly in the next IPCC assessment. See, the IPCC is not including any of these cloud dynamics.
I wonder why.
Of course.
Why?
Well, the IPCC
Is it
doesn't
just
include a lot of stuff. They
no?
don't include methane. They don't mention a lot of
You're right.
feedbacks. The IPCC is so conservative that it's nearly useless. So it's kind of sad, considering that a lot of people use it as the authority of what's happening in the climate. It's not so.
No, we always say that. No, there's a lot of other uh, other resources, but we have to be our own researchers. We have to get this information. We
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So this was going to be a night about feedbacks, and we're just going to briefly cover what the feedbacks are, just like in a nutshell. So feedback number one, melting ice and snow that covers large areas of the planet. This is about albedo. This replaces light reflective surfaces with darker land and ocean that absorb solar energy and then radiate it back, heating the air. So that's feedback number one. Feedback number two is the additional water vapor. As we know, as the atmosphere warms, it holds more water. And the water vapor itself is a greenhouse gas. And they
Mm-hmm.
say the water vapor in the future atmosphere, as higher temperatures cause more evaporation from land and ocean, water vapor is an important greenhouse gas in its own right. Climate models estimate that the extra water vapor will at least double the direct greenhouse effect. So that one's doubling. Everything's like doubling. And the third feedback, and the most uncertain, is clouds. A lot of water vapor
Yeah.
in the air forms water droplets that coalesce into clouds. We generally think of clouds as keeping us cool, and more water vapor can make more clouds. That may sound helpful, but it is not so simple. And so they go on to say that the clouds actually start to dissolve and they don't hold together in the higher temperatures.
Mm.
So,
Well, thank
oh,
you. Thank you. That's a whole new one. I was surprised because I haven't seen anything come out about clouds in a long time, at least,
yeah,
that I have seen. So you
yeah.
found that one. That was a good find.
Yeah, actually, Jan Wiley found this one and brought it to
Oh,
to my
okay. Well,
attention.
that's right. You said that at the beginning. Thank you, Jan.
Yeah,
He's awesome. He's very
he is
helpful.
awesome.
I have to put the right link into the video. I don't think I have the right link, or
Oh
I
well,
didn't put the right link last time, so we'll have to make sure
yeah.
we do that.
If you when Sandy puts that link in there, be sure and go read this clouds article on your own. It's too long for us to go through in its entirety. It's a pretty long and comprehensive article,
Hmm.
but it's really, really good. And
That would be
those of
like
us
a
who
live stream all in itself just to show the whole database.
I know,
Oh,
right?
yeah. So did you want to go on to this next one, which is actually the other, the drought and aridity?
We could probably cover it pretty quick. I mean, I think I could do it in like just 2 minutes and
Okay.
allude to it, and then we could put the link in. So
Yeah, we're
another
going on an
feedback, since
hour.
this is yeah, I'll be really, really quick. A
Oh
new
no.
feedback phenomenon found to drive increasing drought and aridity. So as it gets hotter, it gets drier. And again, go ahead and read this on your own. But net, the world will experience more frequent and more extreme drought and aridity than currently experienced in the coming century, exacerbated by both climate change and land atmosphere processes. So the researchers demonstrate that concurrent soil, drought, and atmospheric aridity are largely driven by a series of land atmosphere processes and feedback loops. They also found that land atmosphere feedbacks would further intensify concurrent soil drought and atmosphere aridity in a warmer climate. This study was published today in the Proceedings of the National Academy of
Well,
Sciences.
aren't
So this
we
is
lucky?
this is well worth a read.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like it's not going to be cloudy, that it's going to be drier and more drought, more aridity. Antarctic is going to melt, Greenland's going to melt, and the permafrost is going to explode.
And
Other than
then we
that,
also have we also had the one more article from the Washington Post on the this one with the world's oceans are speeding up, which was the another mega scale of climate change. And that one's about the well, water. I mean, 3/4 of the world's ocean waters have sped up their pace. That's in recent decades. Wasn't that the last one where we went, oh my God? And
yeah,
and
this
and
one
that
this one came out in the Washington Post, and it's
yeah,
by Chris McNee,
yeah, it's a
who's
good
such
one.
an amazing columnist. He does the best.
And this will be
But
in there.
I'd like to emphasize that it's speeding up selectively. So there are parts
Mm-hmm.
that are speeding up, but the North Atlantic Meridional, whatever that current is called, also kind of that goes along the Gulf Stream, that one's slowing down. So parts that are speeding up because the wind speeds are speeding up, right? So
Right.
this ocean speeding up is because the wind is starting to speed up, and that's kind of whipping the
Mm-hmm.
ocean currents along below it. But some of the main currents on Earth, which really regulate the climate, are slowing down. So it's not
That's the
just
AMOC.
everything is speeding up. Yeah, the AMOC is slowing down for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And a lot of the other kind of like more in the tropical regions straight across the globe, that
Mm-hmm.
is pretty much speeding up, it looks like.
Well, I've got the accelerating and decelerating graphic up from the Washington Post article that shows the ocean currents. It's pretty interesting. Ocean circulation and the shading and what it denotes. So, guys, it'll be in the you know where
It'll
when
be notes. And,
yeah, in the notes, in the notes. Whoop.
we're getting a
Yep.
lot of really good, and actually I think this was given to me by Jan Wiley as well, from the database of environmental change. Jan Wiley has been my Walsingham. um, Walsingham was
Sweet.
Queen Elizabeth's detective and
Yeah.
information gatherer, so
Yeah.
Jan Wiley has been very gracious, and he has been my Walsingham, and kind of pointing me to the most potent things that are happening any given week. So thank you, Yan, for your support. Really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Jan, because I appreciate it. It helps us and it helps us
Yeah.
communicate the information that you have. So, well, guys, we've been about an hour and let us see what's going on in the chat before we say good night. There's a lot going on in the chat, actually. Ed says the slowing is due to the increase of too much fresh water melting into the ocean.
Yes, that's true. So what Ed is talking about is the AMOC that's slowing down.
Right.
Well, there's something called Greenland. We can ask Torsten where that might be. And as we know, Greenland is dumping huge, huge, huge amounts of fresh water directly into the ocean. That
Huge
is
amounts.
screwing up the saltwater balance. And that is the main reason, I think, that the AMOC is slowing down due to all that melt coming off of Greenland, this cold, fresh water going into the saltier, the Atlantic Ocean's pretty salty, so it's causing this incongruity that's slowing down the AMOC. So
Wow.
can ask him if I've got it right there. Think I do.
Well, we covered a lot.
Oh
And
my
then
God,
and
we covered
then
a lot.
going south says the aerosol masking effect is something you need to study, not joke about. Now, I don't know who he's talking to. That's something, it must be in the chat, but there's a lot
The
of
aerosol the aerosol masking effect is
mhm.
global dimming,
Yeah, global
essentially.
dimming, and they're saying because
Yeah.
of what's happening in China, now the researchers are going to get out and measure to see if there's any appreciable change like in 9/11, because air
Oh yeah.
traffic has been stopped over there, right? Or
Yeah.
essentially it's changed. So I don't know. That's something to keep up with. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, let's see. Anybody have questions for us before the evening commences? Um, let's see. Okay, well, going south, Torstein is saying that this factory closed down in China is like 1,000 times worse than the 9/11 dimming thing. Read up on it. Okay, we will, because
Okay,
you
we'll read up on that,
you can't
Torsten, so we
always
can
read up.
see.
Oh, am I supposed to be defending people? I thought that's why I had mods. Proud hon. Somebody's picking on Proud on. They're,
Oh
everybody
my,
behave.
there's a whole thing going on that we don't even know about.
No, we don't know. We don't know. But you know what? After I like to go back and definitely I like to read all the comments because you miss so much because we're doing the show. So
Right.
anyway, thank you everyone. This has been a good one. I really enjoyed this. I felt like the information was good. I learned over the course of the last few days by reading the stuff that Jennifer sends, and we find things, but Jennifer sends the lion's share. She finds the good stuff, the meaty stuff. But it's been really a great experience. And Mindy's with us tonight. And she says it's been great, you
Hi,
guys.
Mindy.
Hi,
You're an
Mindy.
awesome graphic artist. I love your little shorts. They really make the videos. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mindy's amazing. She's just
She really
amazing. We love
is.
Mindy. I was
She,
on the phone with her today for an hour and a half. So there's my girl days of phone calls, which is always wonderful. Um, so I guess, guys, we have a grand total with us right now of 70 people. Thank you all so much. I see 70. That's 79. 79
yeah.
people.
It,
Thank you.
it got up to 84 briefly.
Well, I think 84 people with very good taste.
Right.
And also that, are interested in what we're interested in. And we're interested in I'm always been interested in the Arctic ice. I'm always interested in temperature changes. And I think we're going to have a state of the planet coming up with Nicholas and Antonio. And unfortunately, Jennifer, you're not going to be able to make that because it's a weeknight. It's hard to get everybody, together to do. And Mindy said, thank you, Jennifer. But it is. And so stay tuned for that because we'll have Nick Humphrey, and Nick has been working on a channel where he gives weather reports, and he sounds very professional, and I'm hoping that this will be a launching point for him, his own YouTube channel. So I'm the great promoter of everybody, which is just makes me super happy. And um as always, I will put up this link so that you can see it. Green Pill TV. And I do that every single time for Torstein because he's working hard on this. So I don't know what happened to it. It moved, but wait a minute. I screwed up. Right. I'm closing the internet part. Okay, can you all see it? All right. Let me get back to us. Take that off. And I just want to say thank you, everybody. Oh, why Bio won't listen to weather reports? It's Nicholas Humphrey. It's not some fly by night boring person. It's Nick. He's one of us. So, anyway. All right, we good? John Kelly says, thanks for the stream. Jen and Sandy, thank you, John, for coming. You're all very gracious and all very lovely. And it is wonderful. Oh, one thing, don't leave. Because if you weren't here in the beginning, we're ending with this week's video. Okay? And you'll like it. And please don't leave. I'm going to put the video on right now. Peace and love, everybody. Here we go. And Jen, you can, if you want to hang up, we can talk after the video, or wait and be quiet because I think the mute didn't go on. So bye, guys. Thank you. Watch the video. It's really good.
Bye, guys.